Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
Express a supposition. Take for granted or as a given, suppose beforehand. I presuppose that you have done your work. To believe especially on uncertain or tentative grounds. Scientists supposed that large dinosaurs lived in swamps. Expect, believe, or suppose. Require as a necessary antecedent or precondition. This step presupposes two prior ones. Have or contain a certain wording or form. What does the law say? Give instructions to or direct somebody to do something with authority. Express a supposition. Let us say that he did not tell the truth. Speak, pronounce, or utter in a certain way. I cannot say, zip wire. Report or maintain. The registrar says that I owe the school money. Express in words. Communicate or express nonverbally. What does this painting say? Indicate. The clock says noon. Recite or repeat a fixed text. State as one's opinion or judgment, declare. I say let's forget this whole business. The chance to speak. Let him have his say. Utter aloud. Take for granted or as a given, suppose beforehand. I presuppose that you have done your work. Require as a necessary antecedent or precondition. This step presupposes two prior ones. To believe especially on uncertain or tentative grounds. A message expressing an opinion based on incomplete evidence. A hypothesis that has been formed by speculating or conjecturing, usually with little hard evidence. He dismissed it as mere conjecture. Reasoning that involves the formation of conclusions from incomplete evidence. To believe especially on uncertain or tentative grounds. Pledge without delivery or title of possession. To believe especially on uncertain or tentative grounds. To believe especially on uncertain or tentative grounds. Invest at a risk. To believe especially on uncertain or tentative grounds. Reflect deeply on a subject. Philosophers have speculated on the question of God for thousands of years. Talk over conjecturally, or review in an idle or casual way and with an element of doubt or without sufficient reason to reach a conclusion. To believe especially on uncertain or tentative grounds. To believe especially on uncertain or tentative grounds. Construct a theory about. Galileo theorized the motion of the stars. Form or construct theories. He thinks and theorizes all day. An estimate based on little or no information. Guess correctly. Solve by guessing. He guessed the right number of beans in the jar and won the prize. Judge tentatively or form an estimate of quantities or time. Expect, believe, or suppose. I guess she is angry at me for standing her up. A message expressing an opinion based on incomplete evidence. Put forward, of a guess, in spite of possible refutation. I am guessing that the price of real estate will rise again. Form a mental image of something that is not present or that is not the case. Expect, believe, or suppose. I imagine she earned a lot of money with her new novel. Expect, believe, or suppose. Express one's opinion openly and without fear or hesitation. Have faith or confidence in. Judge to be probable. Take account of. You have to reckon with our opponents. Expect, believe, or suppose. Deem to be. Make a mathematical calculation or computation. Judge or regard. Look upon, judge. I think he is very smart. Recall knowledge from memory. Have a recollection. I can't think what her last name was. Have in mind as a purpose. She didn't think to harm me. Expect, believe, or suppose. He didn't think to find her in the kitchen. Use or exercise the mind or one's power of reason in order to make inferences, decisions, or arrive at a solution or judgments. I've been thinking all day and getting nowhere. An instance of deliberate thinking. I need to give it a good think. Bring into a given condition by mental preoccupation. Decide by pondering, reasoning, or reflecting. Can you think what to do next? Dispose the mind in a certain way. Do you really think so? Focus one's attention on a certain state. Think thin. Have or formulate in the mind. Think good thoughts. Imagine or visualize. Just think you could be rich one day. Ponder. Reflect on, or reason about. Be capable of conscious thought. Man is the only creature that thinks. Take upon oneself. Act presumptuously, without permission. Take to be the case or to be true, except without verification or proof. Constitute reasonable evidence for. A restaurant bill presumes the consumption of food. Take liberties or act with too much confidence. Take to be the case or to be true, except without verification or proof. Make a pretense of. She assumed indifference, even though she was seething with anger. Put clothing on one's body. The queen assumed the stately robes. Take on as one's own the expenses or debts of another person. Seize and take control without authority and possibly with force. Take as one's right or possession. He assumed to himself the right to fill all positions in the town. Take on a certain form, attribute, or aspect. She assumed strange manners. Take on titles, offices, duties, responsibilities. When will the new president assume office? Occupy or take on. He assumes the lotus position. Take to be the case or to be true, except without verification or proof. I assume his train was late. Take up someone's soul into heaven. This is the day when Mary was assumed into heaven. Regard something as probable or likely. The meteorologists are expecting rain for tomorrow. Consider obligatory. Request and expect. I expect my students to arrive in time for their lessons. Look forward to the probable occurrence of. We were expecting a visit from our relatives. Be pregnant with. They are expecting another child in January. consider reasonable or due. I'm expecting a full explanation as to why these files were destroyed. Look forward to the birth of a child. She is expecting in March. Regard something as probable or likely. Make a prediction about. Tell in advance. Be excited or anxious about. Act in advance of. Deal with ahead of time. Realize beforehand. Be a forerunner of or occur earlier than. This composition anticipates Impressionism. Have as a logical consequence. Have as a necessary feature. Suggest that someone is guilty. Express or state indirectly. Suggest as a logically necessary consequence, in logic. Take something as pre-existing and given. A statement that is assumed to be true and from which a conclusion can be drawn. Furnish with a preface or introduction. Set forth beforehand, often as an explanation. He premised these remarks so that his readers might understand. Put something somewhere, firmly. She posited her hand on his shoulder. Logic. A proposition that is accepted as true in order to provide a basis for logical reasoning. Take as a given. Assume as a postulate or axiom. He posited 3 basic laws of nature. Put before. Maintain or assert. Logic. A proposition that is accepted as true in order to provide a basis for logical reasoning. Take as a given. Assume as a postulate or axiom. Require as useful, just, or proper. This intervention does not postulate a patient's consent. Take something as pre-existing and given. A statement that is assumed to be true and from which a conclusion can be drawn. Come up with an idea, plan, explanation, theory, or principle, after a mental effort. Elaborate, as of theories and hypotheses. Put into words or an expression. He formulated his concerns to the Board of Trustees. Prepare according to a formula. Return to its original or usable and functioning condition. Build again. Reassemble mentally. Reconstruct the events of 20 years ago. Do over, as of, part of, a house. Cause somebody to adapt or reform socially or politically. To go back over again. We retraced the route we took last summer. Reassemble mentally. Make by combining materials and parts. Some eccentric constructed an electric brazier warmer. An abstract or general idea inferred or derived from specific instances. Reassemble mentally. Reconstruct the events of 20 years ago. Put together out of artificial or natural components or parts. Create by linking linguistic units. Construct a sentence. Create by organizing and linking ideas, arguments, or concepts. Construct a proof. Draw with suitable instruments and under specified conditions. Construct an equilateral triangle. Elaborate, as of theories and hypotheses. Make plain and comprehensible. Create by training and teaching. We develop the leaders for the future. Work out. We have developed a new theory of evolution. Come to have or undergo a change of physical features and attributes. The patient developed abdominal pains. Cause to grow and differentiate in ways conforming to its natural development. The perfect climate here develops the grain. Gain through experience. Children must develop a sense of right and wrong. Change the use of and make available or usable. Develop land. Come into existence. Take on form or shape. Happen. Report the news as it develops. Elaborate, as of theories and hypotheses. Could you develop the ideas in your thesis? Become technologically advanced. Many countries in Asia are now developing at a very fast pace. Grow emotionally or mature. The child developed beautifully in her new kindergarten. Be gradually disclosed or unfolded. Become manifest. The plot developed slowly. Elaborate by the unfolding of a musical idea and by the working out of the rhythmic and harmonic changes in the theme. Develop the melody and change the key. Expand in the form of a series. Generate gradually. We must develop more potential customers. Grow, progress, unfold, or evolve through a process of evolution, natural growth, differentiation, or a conducive environment. A flower developed on the branch. Make something new, such as a product or a mental or artistic creation. Her company developed a new kind of building material that withstands all kinds of weather. Make visible by means of chemical solutions. Please develop this roll of film for me. Move into a strategically more advantageous position. Develop the rook. Move one's pieces into strategically more advantageous positions. Spassky developed quickly. Superimpose a three-dimensional surface on a plane without stretching, in geometry.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.